Rita Wimbush, and this episode is euthanasia and vaccination. What's the point? Well, ask Varen Sterben, the euthanasia organization in Germany. It's the German euthanasia organization. And, honey, let me tell you, these people want folks that are seeking their organization for euthanasia to get vaccinated first. What is the point? You're going to kill them anyway. So why vaccinate them? Are you charging for the vaccinations? Because if that's the case, then that is an exploitation of those that is an exploitation of your patients, those with disabilities, or whatever reason that they are seeking euthanasia. Population control at its worst. Well, maybe not its worst, but population control, that's what it is. I mean, seriously, the person who has been leading what seems to be not even coincidental. It's strange that Anthony Fauci, is the person that was in charge of AIDS research and, choosing which medications got recommended to treat AIDS, right? And the interesting thing, when we talk about the treatment of AIDS, HIV/AIDS, right? When we discuss the treatment of HIV/AIDS, let's look at it. There were medications such as Bactrim that were actually killing people from AIDS, curing people of AIDS, right? And groups such as ACT UP, gay and lesbian organization, gay advocacy organization, firmly, they even protested and threw color bombs at the White House during the 90s. No, the early 90s, late 80s, right? These people, though the news media didn't cover that very often, because I would have remembered. It's as sure as they had AIDS marathons in sure as they used to show AIDS marathons on TV. And they talked about Rock Hudson having AIDS, and in 1990 itself, a bit of information that didn't reach the public often also was that Anthony Perkins, the lead actor that in Psycho, why I can't remember his name. Usually I remember that character's name in Psycho, right? The movie Psycho. As well as Franklin Seals, Dexter Stuffins from the TV show Silver Spoons, and Jack Rambo, and many others died in 1990 of AIDS. Lots of famous actors died of AIDS in that year, and some were suspected to have died of AIDS. Very weird, very weird. All I know is Anthony Fauci bears responsibility for those who have died from HIV/AIDS because he has a relationship with not only Bill Gates, right, but Gilead Sciences as well, who holds the patent on most HIV/AIDS medications, which means that the pharmaceuticals and medications that they don't own, that they don't make money off of, right? Those likely won't be recommended, as we saw with the vaccines. Gilead Sciences at one point had cornered the market. They had cornered that market on the juice, the jab, right? They cornered the market on the jab for the pandemic, right? At one point, right? And again, that's monopoly, and that is collusion, and that is a conflict of interest. Fauci is a fraud, and I would almost go so far as to say he is a bioterrorist. It is strange that the diseases and viruses that he is, supposedly the spokesperson to represent the fight and the fight against and control over. These particular viruses target certain groups such as Black people, poor people, elderly people. I'm thinking, look, people with disabilities or comorbidities, as they began to refer to them during the pandemic. It sounded a lot like population control, eugenics. It sounds like population control and eugenics to me, for these populations that are considered to be dysgenic. That's what it sounds like to me. Okay. But in Germany, as we know, aside from just in Germany, euthanasia has been weaponized as a method of population control, right? It really has. We see this in Canada. Canada has been telling poor people, particularly poor people with disabilities, that, the Canadian government has been recommending euthanasia to people who are poor that are seeking help, and people who are poor that have disabilities that are seeking help, people who have mental illness that are seeking help. Instead of offering them help, they offer them death. They've offered them death, is what they are offering these people. Population control, as we saw with the Georgia Guidestones, which was a atheist, secularist, satanic even form of the 10 Commandments that espouse that we keep the world population, maintain a world population of at least 500. Now, in the previous video, I said 5, but I meant 500 million people. There's like 6 to 9 billion people on the earth, which means that the majority of the world's population would be killed off if maintaining the world population at a number of about 500 million were to occur. And that goes back to eugenics. And particularly when we look at eugenicists, feel that only the best of the best should be alive and should even have children, So that is what I wanted to share with you. It is strange that a person who has elected to die would even need a vaccine. For what? Because the vaccine does not prevent the transmission of the vid. It doesn't prevent the transmission of it. So what's the point? What is the point? Anyway, this is Stage Left Planet, and I'm your host, Warita Wimbush. Focus on God.